Thank you. You all may be seated. This witness has been sworn. Will it be you, Mr. Rowe?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Special Agent,
Yes, sir, I did.
as part of that, were you asking questions whether they had gone to the wrong floor, wrong apartment, and did they have any issues with their door?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did you encounter a person named Mr. George Lucas in apartment 1123?
Yes, sir, I did.
And with regard to whether he had any problems with his door, you don't have to say, do not say what he said, but what did you see physically was in your own eyes, describe what you saw, the condition of his door, and whether it fully closed or not?
It was after I asked this question, Mr. Lucas walked over to his door and demonstrated to me the functionality of the door and attempted to close it at that time, at which it did not close all the way unassisted.
And so did it rest against the, against the strike plate without going all the way in?
Yes, sir, it did.
And then in your presence, did Mr. Lucas have to actually physically push it closed for the latch to catch?
Yes, sir, it did.
I'll pass the witness.
Thank you for your service. I have no questions.
Yes, sir, thank you.
May you be excused.
No objection.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Please call your next witness.
Special Agent Estes.
Affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Please make yourself comfortable.
And Judge, we're good with cameras. Sir, could you please state your name and how you're employed and spell your first and last name, please?
I'm Dustin Estes. I'm a special agent with the Texas Department of Public Safety.
And spell your first and last name.
Dustinestes.
And Special Agent Estes, on September 20th, 2018, did you assist Texas Ranger David Armstrong and other Rangers and DPS, Department of Public Safety personnel, in canvassing residents at the Southside Flats apartment?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I did.
And was one of the questions you were asking, and that you were noting, was whether or not the individual residents had any issues with their door closing?
Yes, sir.
And did you encounter a resident and see the condition of the door in apartment 12226?
Yes, sir, I did.
And when you were interviewing the tenant and she walked away from the door, can you describe to the jurors, not anything you heard, but what you physically saw the door do when it was left to close?
Okay. She was holding the door open with like her foot, and she had walked away to check on a child and let the door fly. I was standing in the hall, and I had done several interviews and watched the door close, and when the door hit, it wasn't square and it didn't close. I could have opened it.
So all the other doors that you had seen had closed, but this one, when it hit, the latch didn't catch. Is that
Yes, sir.
accurate? So did it appear closed, but if you just pushed it, could you open it?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay, just one question. What was the apartment number?
12226.
5 digits?
I'm sorry. You're right, Judge. 1226.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hurst.
Your Honor, I have no questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
May you be excused.
Thank you, Judge.
No objection.
Thank you, officer.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense would call Marc Lipscomb.
Thank you. Please Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Make yourself comfortable.
Good afternoon. Could you tell us your name, please?
Yeah, Marc Lipscomb.
Could you please spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Sure. First name Marc, M-A-R-C. Last name Lipscomb, L-I-P-S-C-O-M-B.
How old are you?
31.
And where do you work?
I work at a law firm downtown, Kirkland and Ellis.
Could you spell that for the court reporter, please?
Sure. Kirkland and Ellis, E-L-L-I-S.
And what do you do there at that law firm?
I am a private equity mergers and acquisitions attorney,
Okay. What type of work does that entail?
assisting clients buying and selling businesses.
Is a lot of your work done at a desk?
Yes, a vast majority, I'd say 90% of my work is at a desk.
And do you often work late hours?
Very frequently, 80-plus hour weeks.
Did you previously live at the Southside Flats Apartments?
I did.
Were you residing there during September of 2018?
Yes, I was.
What apartment number were you in?
1300.
That was a corner apartment?
That's right.
And that was what type of apartment?
A 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment.
Did you live with anybody else?
Yeah, I had a roommate at that time.
Okay. And did you also have a dog?
I had a dog, yes.
Did you know Botham Jean?
No, I had never met him.
Did you know Amber Guyger?
I had not met her either.
Now, while you lived in the apartment complex, did you ever have the occasion to park on the wrong floor of the parking garage?
Yes, on a number of occasions.
And you were a tenant on the 3rd floor, is that correct?
Yes.
So what level of the parking garage would you park on?
By default, I would park on the 3rd floor.
And when you parked on the wrong floor, how many times would you say you did that?
Guesstimating 10, 12, give or take a few.
And when you would park on the wrong floor, was that typically on the 4th floor unintentionally?
Yes. A lot of times the 3rd floor would be full. So as you know, I would just go up until I found a spot and not realize what floor I was on.
So oftentimes you were parked on the 4th floor thinking you were on what floor?
My floor, the 3rd.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Lipscomb, I want to show you a photograph that's actually 2 photographs side by side labeled Defendant's Exhibit number 79. Do you recognize this as a still shot of what I've represented to you as being the 3rd floor parking garage and the 4th floor parking garage?
Yes, that's the elevator bank and the door to the hallway.
And I indicated to you that these photos were taken from still shots from a video, which is already in evidence, State's Exhibit 251. Is that correct?
Yes.
No objection, Your Honor.
Permission to publish to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, it's kind of hard to tell from this, but this is one photograph that is a side-by-side of 2 separate photographs. Is that correct?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, so you can see there's a label here, and this is, as I've indicated to you, the fourth floor, correct?
Right.
And you see another label, that's just from the timing on the video where these still shots were taken, and that's the third floor, correct?
Yeah, I suppose it's the third floor.
Right, based on what I've indicated to
What
you
you've told me, yes.
from the state's evidence, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise, would you have an extremely difficult time deciding which floor each of these was?
Yeah,
I mean, are they virtually identical?
aside from the cars.
Correct, aside from the cars that are parked there. The elevators are in the same places, the lights, the pillars here and here, correct?
Right.
Now, on the fourth floor, do you see there's you can see the roof line, I guess, of the apartment complex itself?
Sure.
Is that something you ever noticed?
No, I don't recall ever noticing that.
So on the occasions that you parked unintentionally on the fourth floor, thinking that you were on the third floor, would you then continue walking down the fourth floor hallway?
Yeah, I would just go straight through the door and go to what I thought was my apartment, which would be the last apartment down the hallway.
So you would actually walk all the way down the hall, thinking you were on the third floor, correct?
Right.
There weren't any items that distinguished, in your mind, the fourth floor and the third floor?
Object to leading, Your Honor.
Were,
Rephrase your question.
were there any things that distinguished the third floor from the fourth floor?
Not that I recall.
Now, what would you do when you got to what you believed to be your apartment door?
Would put my key into the door, try to unlock it. Sometimes, I guess, sometimes, I don't know how many times, but sometimes a red light would blink, at which point I'd realize I'm at the wrong apartment. Other times, either wouldn't blink or I wouldn't notice that it would blink. So I would try a couple of times until, just getting frustrated and eventually figuring out that it's not my apartment.
And how would you realize after attempting multiple times that it wasn't your apartment?
I would look up for the apartment number next to the door.
Now, if we could cue up State's Exhibit 79, please. Could you step down next to the witness stand, Judge? May the witness step down?
Sure.
Sorry to do this to you, but could you step down and tell us how tall of a man you are?
I'm 5'6".
Okay. You can go ahead and have a seat. So you said you had to look up.
Right. It was above my eye level.
If you'll refer to, I believe there's that screen to your left and the witness stand, Mr. Lipscomb. You see that screen to your left? You can pull that around and
Yes.
refer to that. But... So you see the white. That's what you're referring to there.
Yes, that's where they indicate the apartment numbers.
And was that something that you noticed easily?
No, I mean, sometimes I would forget they were there, but, when I would have trouble getting into my apartment, I would recall that I need to double check the number up there.
And on one particular evening when you came home from work, after you had walked your dog, did something significant happen?
Object to leading, Your Honor.
Sustain.
Did something significant happen one time after you walked your dog?
Yes, there was one occasion, it wasn't a parking occasion, but I, as you just noted, I was walking my dog after work one evening, and when I walked my dog, I would use the stairwell because we were in the last apartment, which was right next to the stairwell. So I would walk down the stairs with my dog, walk the dog, if it was not late at night, I would leave my apartment unlocked. And on this one occasion, when I came back, I only went up one flight of stairs, I suppose, rather than two. So I just opened the door, right? Didn't use my key or anything. And I, as it turns out, was walking into the second floor apartment that was in the same spot as 1300. It was apartment 1200.
May I approach the witness, Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Lipscomb, you indicated that the apartment that you lived in was a corner apartment that was a 2-bedroom and 2-bathroom.
That's right.
Let me show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit number 80. Do you recognize this as a floor plan provided by the apartment complex for when you're deciding on which kind of apartment you want? This is the floor plan of the particular apartment you had. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is representative of my apartment.
Okay. This time we'd offer Defendant's 80.
Your Honor, object that this is irrelevant. What his apartment look like?
Judge, he's going to be using it for demonstrative purposes.
I'll allow it. It's admitted.
Permission to publish the jury?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Lipscomb, if you'll refer to Defendant's Exhibit number 80, right there, could you indicate, you can touch the screen and it will mark on the screen. If you could do that and show the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where the entrance door would have been.
Okay, sure. So the stairwell was over here, and I would walk down the hallway and go in the first door on the left.
And on this occasion, you believed you were walking into which apartment number?
I thought I was going to 1300, mine,
And in fact, it was what number?
1200.
So when you went through, the door wasn't locked, is that right?
That's right.
And you said you had left your door unlocked?
Yeah, when I walked my dog, if it wasn't like in the middle of the night, until this event occurred, I always left my door unlocked.
And how long were you out walking your dog that particular evening?
Probably 5 or 10 minutes.
Show us what you did when you got into the entry hallway there.
When I first was here where the drawing stops, I let my dog off the leash, and he went running. Every time he goes out, he runs, or when I lived here, he would run over here where his water bowl was. And then I started walking down the hallway this way.
As you were walking down the hallway that way, did you notice anything different about that apartment?
Yes, it had a kind of an odd smell.
Could you describe the smell?
Maybe a little bit pungent.
Did it smell like anything in particular?
Maybe like mildew or something.
And had your apartment smelled like that when you had just left 5 or 10 minutes previously?
I didn't think that it had, but the first thought that, kind of crossed my mind was, wow, something smells in my apartment. I need to figure out where this is coming from.
So despite that smell, you still thought it was your apartment?
Yes.
What did you do next?
I came around this corner here, and I saw a large purse on the countertop there on the island in the kitchen.
What did you
And
think when you saw that purse?
I suspected that my roommate, who lived in this room, had a guest over.
So the presence of that purse didn't cause you at that moment to believe you were in the wrong apartment?
No, I still thought it was my apartment.
What happened next?
Well, as I was continuing to walk, I got to maybe somewhere around here, just maybe barely past the island, and there was a woman sitting on a couch that wasn't quite like the couch here, but it was up against those 3 windows in the back. And she kind of looked like a deer caught in headlights. She didn't say anything. She was silent, but she looked scared, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm in the wrong apartment. I just kind of realized at that point, that happened pretty quickly, but I was, yeah, it was just an embarrassing moment.
And the location of the, excuse me, of the sofa in your apartment, was it in that same location back by those windows?
No, in my apartment, the couch was like this, facing a TV against that wall.
And when you walked by where the kitchen island is, where you noticed the purse, you didn't, or did you notice that your sofa was not in that location?
No, I hadn't noticed anything other than the purse until I saw the woman sitting on the couch.
That evening, had you gone anywhere between work and going home?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
That evening, had you gone anywhere between work and home?
No, straight home.
Had you been drinking at all?
No.
What was the lighting like when you walked into the apartment?
I don't know if they had the lights on or off. I don't think it was super bright, but it wasn't dark either.
You recall talking to a Texas Ranger back in September, on September 20th, 2018, about your experience?
Yeah, it was shortly after the incident. I don't know the date.
Do you recall telling the ranger that?
I'm going to object to hearsay, Your Honor.
Do you recall telling the ranger anything about the lighting?
I'm going to object to hearsay.
I'm asking if he remembers himself telling the ranger anything coming from his mouth, Your Honor.
Hearsay can still be from someone that's also testifying, Your Honor.
Is this going to be relevant to the issues at hand?
Yes, Judge, it is.
Help me to understand how.
I'm just asking him when he walked into that apartment, how light or how dark it was, to give his perspective of what he saw or didn't see.
Now, help me to understand how that's relevant to whatever might have gone on in 1478.
Judge, I believe that the state has brought up trying to challenge the reasonableness
Okay,
of
never
missing.
mind. I'm going to sustain their objection. Because these aren't even the same floor plans or even on either of the 2 contested floors.
Mr. Lipscomb, nevertheless, you lived in that apartment complex and had this experience, is that correct?
That's right.
How would you describe the floors in the parking garage?
It's pretty generic, I guess. 4 or 5 levels of, ramps that, crisscross on their way up. But otherwise, nothing really distinctive about them other than the gate on the first floor.
Any indicators as to what floor you're parking on?
No, nothing other than reserve sign spots that came in at some point, but I don't know at what point those were installed. They weren't always there.
And what about the hallways?
Aside from the numbers next to the doors, not to my knowledge.
So I will pass the witness.
Very briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Lipscomb, you lived, you said, with a roommate, right?
Yes, sir.
So it wouldn't be abnormal or unusual for someone to be in your apartment at any given time, other than yourself.
That's right.
And even a guest of your roommate could have been there, right?
Right, that was my initial thought.
Exactly, right? So when you go into a house and there's a purse that you don't recognize, the first thing you're thinking is, oh, I guess my roommate's got a friend over.
That's right.
Because that wouldn't be abnormal.
No, that wouldn't have been out of the ordinary.
Okay. When you made that interaction with the lady that was on the sofa, did you shoot her?
No.
She shoot you?
No.
Object, argumentative.
Overruled.
And just, I want to just clarify something. You said you lived in 1300, which is on what floor?
The third floor.
And this apartment that you entered, I think you said was 1200?
The time I went into the apartment, that was 1200, yes, sir.
What floor is that on?
The second floor.
Pass the witness.
Nothing further?
May he be excused?
No objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming in.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense would call Jessica Martinez.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please make yourself comfortable.
Would you state your name, please, and spell both first and last names for the court reporter?
Yes, my name is Jessica Martinez, JESSICA MARTINEZ.
And Ms. Martinez, how old are you?
I'm 31.
Where do you work?
I work for Dallas ISD as an art teacher and soccer coach.
And what school do you teach art?
I teach at Woodrow Wilson High School.
Do you coach the soccer team there?
Yes, the JV girls soccer team.
Did you previously live at the Southside Flats Apartments?
Yes,
What apartment number did you live in?
1352.
And what floor was that on?
That was on the third floor.
Do you recall when you moved in?
Yes, it was in the summer before school started.
Of what year? Do you
Oh,
recall?
2016.
And how, excuse me, how long did you live there?
I lived there for just over 2 years because I was on the longer lease, not a 12-month, yeah.
Did you know an individual named Botham Jean?
No,
Did you know, or do you know, an individual named Amber Guyger?
no.
When you lived there, did you have problems with your key fob?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Yes, there were several times that I went and talked to the office and requested help, and several times I could not because I would come home late at night and I would have, or like it would be after the office had closed, so I couldn't talk to anybody, but I would stick my key in, it wouldn't work, and if you waited long enough or if you like pushed it in just right and turned it, then it might work. I also had a storage space, and the storage space didn't work, and they had it completely deinstall the whole door because the unit was broken.
What about problems with the locking mechanism to your apartment door?
The way the key locked?
Yes.
Yes, I had problems with that, getting it to unlock. So there was one night I came home and was waiting for almost half an hour trying to just wait for my key to unlock. And eventually it did because, there was nothing I could do. The office was closed, so.
Did you ever have to get your key fob replaced?
Yes, I got 2 or 3 new of the little black keys.
Did you ever experience any problems with people being inside the apartment complex who were not tenants?
Yes.
Explain that.
Yes, during the summer I have lots of free time, so I'm in the complex a lot, and oftentimes there would be homeless people in the pool area or inside of the shared unit spaces because it's air conditioned, it's cooler, it's easy enough to find your way inside of it. They would be in the stairwells. I was like accosted by a man who was yelling at me verbally, like harassing me to let him inside once. And he said he lived there and he wanted in, but he didn't have a key.
Without going,
Stay.
without going into what anybody said, can you describe just what you noticed as far as people being in there that shouldn't have been?
Yeah, I frequently experience people inside that.
And did you have an occasion to be inside your apartment and somebody come in?
Yes.
Describe that.
Yes, I was home on my couch and I heard my key noise and then the door opened and this man came inside and I freaked out and I jumped off the couch and I ran at him and I'm like, what are you doing? And he kept coming inside my house. He had a key. He had old shabby clothes on. He smelled awful. He had no front teeth and he was telling me he was looking for someone and he had to do something. And so I was yelling at him to get out and he like walked outside and like shuffled to the place next to mine and stuck his key in that one and went in that one. And I called my mom and I'm like, what do I do now? Like, you know.
Startled you?
Yeah, it really did.
You mentioned that people were able to get inside the complex who were not tenants. Did you ever have an occasion after you moved out to try to get in?
Yes.
And why was that?
I sent an Amazon package to the wrong address, so I'm snuck back in to get it.
Was it difficult for you to get back in without any type of access code or access key fob?
At first, yes, but I kept thinking there's a way you can do this because everyone else kept doing it, so I figured out how to get in.
Could you describe the balconies at the apartment complex?
Yeah. So the way the apartments are set up, you have a shared slab of concrete between you and your neighboring apartment on one of the sides. So, like if you were to exit your balcony, this slab that's out there has like a hip-high metal gate that you, like it's not open closed gate, but just a metal gate encasing the area. So if I was on my patio, I could look into the neighbor's place. If he was on his patio, he would look into my place. And, you know, so that's how the patios were built.
So you said that there was a divider between the two balconies.
Your Honor, I'm object to this as being irrelevant.
Is there some relevance?
Yes, Judge, I believe that the state has put an issue that the only way that someone could break into a home there is to go through the front door, and I'm just allowing this witness to testify that there is access through the back.
Access, which floor did you live on, ma'am?
The third floor.
And which back do you mean that there is access?
The balcony, a shared balcony area, and a back door that goes in through the back of the apartments.
A back door?
Correct. It goes out to the balcony.
Oh, you mean most persons' patios doors?
Correct.
I'll allow.
And could you describe what divided the shared patio or balcony area?
Yes, it's a like hip-high metal fencing, the same type that they have like around the pool, I'd imagine, but it's just like a thin metal one. But I had someone looking into my apartment and I was worried about it and I had to get in touch with the office and tell that tenant to stop because they would just stand there and like sometimes look in and it was very like disturbing.
Now you said you lived on the third floor. What floor of the parking garage would you park on?
Normally I would park on the third floor.
Did you ever unintentionally park on the fourth floor of the parking garage?
Yes.
About how many times would you say you did that?
I would say at least 1 or 2 times.
Did you feel that the parking garage had, or was there any indicators of what floor you were on as you were pulling into the parking garage?
None that I had. My markers were like the other cars that I would park near normally.
And in fact, did you have a solution that you wanted to do?
Yes, I do art. Oh.
Sustained. And Is there some relevance to her solutions to the management?
Just that she felt the need to do something to make it clear which floor she was on when she came in.
Well, we're not gonna go any further with this line of questioning.
That was your thought, is that right?
Yes.
Fair to say that the two parking floors looked virtually the same.
Yes.
When you parked on the wrong floor, what happened after that?
You mean after I realized I parked?
After you parked and you went in, what happened?
Oh, most of the time, if I got into the door area, I would normally stop about halfway down, or like once I got near the fire door and realized it wasn't the right spot to be in.
Did you ever have an occasion to walk to the wrong door?
I made it pretty far once, but I hadn't actually like gone to the door.
Did you ever have any problems with visitors finding their way to you?
Yes, the first time I had girlfriend.
Irrelevant, Your Honor.
Sustained.
All right, all the information that you've given, you spoke with a Texas Ranger back in September, is that correct?
Yes.
September of 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all I have.
Ma'am, you told this jury that you'd gone down the wrong hall before,
Yes.
but you also said that you didn't quite make it to the wrong door,
Yes.
okay? Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what it was about that situation that caused you to realize I'm not on the right floor.
There was a really cute guy walking towards me, and he didn't live on my floor.
How did you know he didn't live on your?
Because, well, I thought, this guy, who is this guy? And I looked around and I realized, oh, this is not my floor. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Nick.
The one incident where you said someone came into your apartment, that's scary, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Did you shoot that person?
I don't own a gun.
Okay. Did he shoot you or at you?
He did come towards me, but I don't know what he had with him.
So the answer is no.
No, he did not shoot me.
You called your mother after that incident?
Yes.
Did you call the police?
After my mom told me to.
Okay. Nothing further on that.
Is there a redirect?
No, Your Honor. That's all we
May
have.
she be excused?
No objection.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Yeah. Defense calls Amy Rose.
Good afternoon, Ms. Rose. If you would, please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please make yourself known.
Could you tell us your name, please, and also spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Yes, it's Amy Lynn Rose. First name Amy, last name Rose.
Did you previously reside at the Southside Flats?
Yes, I did.
What apartment number?
I lived at 1380.
And about how long did you live there?
I lived a little over a year.
And during the time that you lived there, did you ever park on the wrong floor in the parking garage?
Yes, I did.
Which floor did you park on?
The fourth floor.
What happened after you parked on the fourth floor and walked down the hallway?
Well, I parked on the fourth. I went towards the entry doors to the hallway. At that time, you had to badge in, and I tried to badge in, and it didn't work. And I thought something was wrong with my key fob. So I started calling the after-hour people because I thought something was wrong with it. but there was a lady coming out of the hallway, so I went in after her. I proceeded down the hallway. I noticed that one of my neighbors, they had like a wicker urn type deal with some, they were either stalks of something or they were feathers, and it was missing. And I just thought, wow, they didn't last long, because a lot of people were moving in and then moving right back out. So I turned the corner and I started going towards my apartment, and I noticed my floor mat was missing, my little welcome mat. And then I thought, well, maybe the management had gone around and picked up all our stuff, because technically on the lease, we were not allowed to put anything on the door, and we weren't allowed to put anything like outside the door. So I literally got to the door that would have been my apartment, and I realized that, this is going to sound kind of gross, but I didn't smell dog urine. Down the other hall, one of the people always let their dog pee, like right outside in the hallway. And it was like those things started adding up. And then I just happened to look up and was like, oh, this isn't my apartment. I'm on the wrong floor.
And you thought you were on the 3rd floor, but you were on which floor?
4th floor.
And the whole time you were walking down to what you thought was your apartment, did you feel like you were on the right floor?
Yeah.
Even though you saw that the large urn with the thing sticking out wasn't there?
But yeah, I still thought I was on the 3rd floor.
I'll pass the witness.
Ma'am, just a few questions, okay?
Sure.
So there are clues when you're walking down the hall that you noticed that just didn't add up. Is that fair?
Yes, but there was a reasonable explanation to it all.
Okay, well, just bear
Yeah,
with me.
sure.
Okay. You walk down the hall, you see an urn filled with flowers or some sort of decorative plants regularly, right? On the 3rd floor?
Yes.
At the intersection of 2 hallways, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that wasn't there this day.
No, it was not.
Okay. You also noticed that your floor mat was missing.
Yes, I did.
Right? Okay. So, and then, so that was, the plant was weird, that was missing, okay, but maybe there's some explanation.
Yeah.
Floor mat's missing, well, that's weird, maybe there's some explanation, right?
Yes.
The floor, or the hallway doesn't smell like dog urine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there could be some explanation for that, right?
Yes.
Somebody could have Febrezed it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we got these 3 sort of oddities, okay? And the next thing you do is you take a look at the door number.
Yeah, it was like, wait a minute, there's something, it just in the back of my head, I was just like, wait a minute, it started adding up. And then I looked up at the light at the door number and was like, I'm not on my floor.
Because that number had a 4 in it?
Yes, when I looked up at it. Mm-hmm.
I'll pass the witness.
Nothing further.
May she be excused? No objection.
No objection.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brooks.
Thank you.
That's called Spc Agnt Blair.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please make yourself comfortable.
Officer Blair, could you please state your name and spell both your first and last name for the court reporter?
First name Keenan, K-E-E-N-A-N. Last name Blair, B-L-A-I-R.
And how are you employed?
I employ with the City of Dallas.
Are you a police officer?
Yes, sir, I am.
And are you, is that your rank, police officer?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been with the Dallas Police Department?
Been with the Dallas Police Department since June of 2016.
And where are you currently assigned?
South Central Patrol.
On September 6th, 2018, where were you assigned?
Central Patrol.
And just backing up a little bit, you graduated from the Dallas Police Department Academy in 2016?
I graduated from the Dallas Police Department in March of 2017.
So started in 2016, graduated from the Academy in 2017, and have been in assigned patrol ever since. Is that correct?
Correct.
And on September 6, 2018, you were assigned to Central Patrol. Were you working a two-man that day?
Yes, sir, I was.
Two-man meaning you're riding with a partner?
Yes, sir.
And who was your partner?
Michael Lee.
And around 10 o'clock p.m., were you dispatched to a shooting call involving an officer to the Southside Flats Apartments on 1210 South Lamar?
Yes, sir, I was.
And so, where were you when you got the call, and what did you and Officer Lee do?
Me and Officer Lee had just finished up a loud music complaint at the Lorenzo Hotel, which would be right around the corner from the Southside Flats.
And what did you do in response to the dispatch call?
We were getting back in our car from finishing up that call. A tone came out for officer assist. We turned our lights and sirens on, and we drove over to Southside Flats.
And when you got there, we've seen Officer Lee's body cam, and I'm not going to go through the body cam again, but is you're almost lapping Officer Lee. He's trying to catch up with you, but you're in good shape, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so you're the first one into the hallway or inside the apartment, as far as you know. Is that correct?
Correct.
Was there some confusion? Well, what was your state of mind going into that apartment complex? What did you know, and what were you trying to be prepared for?
At the time, whenever we were trying to get into the apartment, only, to my recollection, only comments we had was there was a shooter and there was an officer that was putting the information out. So at that time, we didn't know if it was an active shooter or if what was actually going on. We just knew that there was a shooter and an officer was at the scene already, off-duty officers at the scene already.
And so what was your frame of mind as you're entering into the apartment building?
High alert, pie every corner, be on guard, expecting anything.
At some point, you have to run all the way up to the fourth floor, and how do you end up finding, eventually do you see Amber Guyger?
I do.
And Amber Guyger, is she the female sitting 2 seats to my right in the corner?
Correct.
And did you know her before this?
No, I did not.
When you come around a corner, we see you've got your gun in a certain position. What position is that, and why did you have it in that?
That would be my low ready position, and I had it in that position just because that's how we were taught when we were going to either active shooter response or searching a building. It's just a ready position.
When you're going into a potentially dangerous situation.
Correct.
And either of those is dangerous, searching a building, or active shooter, of course.
Correct.
When you come around the corner, you hear a noise and you raise your weapon. What caused you to do that, and what did you see?
The reason I raised my weapon is because, like I said, the comments weren't very clear on the call sheet. The information we got was very vague, so I didn't know who exactly she was until I raised my weapon, realized that she identified herself, and I could see her hands.
So there's, you said you could see her hands. Why was that important?
Hands are what's going to hurt you.
And And is that what you go to first? Because you're standing in a uniform, but you mentioned hands first. Is that what you looked at first?
Yes, sir.
And then once you saw the hands were clear, were you able to take in the whole picture that it's a uniformed officer?
That and her mentioning it's me, I'm an off-duty officer.
And was it a well-lit hallway?
Yes, it was.
And as you got closer to her, what was her demeanor?
She was very emotional, hysterical, crying. She just kept stating she thought this was her apartment.
And did you led Officer Lee into the room, correct? Into that apartment?
I led him into the room, yes, sir.
When you got in there, you saw a large man lying on the ground, is that correct?
Correct.
What did you do?
I immediately processed the situation, and then I asked her, where's he shot at? And she said, upper left. And at that time, that's when I put my gloves on, and then I went into CPR.
And besides, what training do you have for CPR?
I was a lifeguard when I was 16, so I have lifeguard CPR, and then I got training in the academy.
Besides the training in the academy, did they give you any other training with CPR? Have you been in any active shooter schools where you're doing CPR in a high-stress environment, or is it just the CPR training at the academy?
Just training in the academy.
And that's just on dummies?
On dummies, correct.
Did Officer Lee get Officer Guyger, or then get Amber Guyger out of the apartment at the time?
Yes, he did.
You described her demeanor. Why did you want her out of the immediate scene?
Just so we could focus on him. Just so we could focus on him. All of our attention was devoted to him.
And did you believe that she was somehow involved? You didn't know?
Yes, I knew she was involved.
Did you or Officer Lee move the body up or down inside the apartment?
At no point did we move the body.
Did you see any other officers move the body up or down in the apartment while you were in there?
No, sir.
We see on the body cam you do CPR. Where were your hands when you were doing CPR?
On the sternum.
At some point, do you stop and let Officer Lee take over?
Yes, sir.
And where did you move?
I moved to the top of his head, and I arched his head up to open up his airway.
And then we see on the body cam, I think did you move the ottoman slightly to get better positioning?
Correct.
And do you remember how far you moved?
I do not.
Your focus is on Mr. John, correct?
Correct.
Did you get any blood on your hands when you were doing CPR?
Not that I recall.
Eventually, did you, from watching the body cam, notice that you started looking for a wound and you actually touched around the wound area, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
Is that when you believe you got blood on your hands?
Yes, sir.
After the paramedics came in and got Mr. John out of the apartment, did you have any further contact or role in the crime scene or anything like that?
No, sir, I didn't.
In the academy and on patrol, you've been trained in responding to burglary calls, and as a patrol officer, have you responded to numerous burglary alarm calls, burglary of the building calls, things of that nature?
Yes, sir, I have.
Is there a difference between Well, let me ask you this. When you clock out, when you're done with your shift of duty, is there a different mindset than when you're on duty?
Yes, sir, it is.
And describe that to the jurors.
Judge, I'm going to object. All due respect, Officer Blair's mindset is not relevant to this case.
Sustained.
Are you on high alert when you're off duty? Then Judge, may I respond?
I was waiting for him to finish the question.
Are you on high alert as when you're on duty? Are you in that same level of alert when you're off duty?
No, sir.
Judge, I'm going to object again. Mr. Blair, how his state of mind and how he conducts his, whatever, him as an individual is not relevant to this particular case.
You have a response, Mr. Brown?
Yes, Your Honor. The state of Texas has made it repeatedly an issue, not only in the questioning of their witnesses, but in the cross-examination of Ms. Guyger, making it seem that that every officer would be situationally and on hyper alert at all times. I'm trying to demonstrate to the jury from a person who is a member of the Dallas Police Department that there the mindset is not always the same, to educate the jury on how police officers think.
I believe the question was how this officer thought. So I'm going to sustain the objection. Let's move on.
Officer Blair, I want to contrast a situation based on your experience and training as a police officer, okay?
Yes, sir.
If you walk into your own home and confront an intruder, is that different? Would you apply different tactics than responding to a burglary call and having time and to make a plan in responding to that call?
Can you repeat the original question,
Sure.
please?
Based on your training and experience as a Dallas police officer, if you step into your home and you confront a burglary in progress, are you going to respond to that is that different than responding to a burglary call on duty when you have time to formulate a plan?
Yes, sir, it's different.
And describe that to the jurors.
The difference would be me walking in and being confronted with the situation versus me driving to something knowing that this is what is potentially inside, I guess.
And so when you get a call, a burglary call, you're going to follow standard operating procedures, correct?
Correct.
And you're going to have a time to formulate a plan and with other officers, correct?
Correct.
And if you step into your own home and you're confronted with a felony in progress, correct?
Correct.
Are you trained and are you trained to immediately deal with the felony in progress and confront the intruder in your own home?
Correct.
Would that be a dangerous situation?
Yes, sir.
And what would you be looking for immediately with regard to sources of danger from that intruder?
Hands.
I'll pass the witness.
Officer Blair, thank you for your time this afternoon. I think I just have a couple of questions. First of all, I think on your direct examination, you said that at no time did we move the body of the complainant. Did I understand you right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You are aware that you guys did move him on his side, took his body and moved him entirely on his side at some point to check and see if there was an exit wound, right?
Yes, sir. We slightly raised his left shoulder.
Okay, so that was movement, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you also, at one point, his arm, you moved it up and out of the way, is that correct?
Correct.
And also, as far as his legs are concerned, you do recall Officer Wynn picking up both legs, moving them and putting them on top of some sort of an elevated item for blood circulation.
I do not recall that.
Okay. Would you like to see that, or do you?
I mean, if you're telling me in court, then I'll believe you.
Okay, well, so if the video evidence exists, it shows Officer Wynn moving a shoe out of the way, grabbing both feet, moving them, putting them together, and then putting them up on top of something. That would also be further movement of the complainant's body, right?
Yes, sir. That makes sense to raise the feet to get the blood to the heart.
Exactly, absolutely. I'm not quarreling with the reason for it, but I just wanted to make sure, because you told the jury the body hadn't been moved, but in fact, the upper torso, you yourself were part of the process of moving that to check for exit wounds, right?
Yes, sir.
The arm was moved in order to, I guess, get access to see the wound, correct?
Yes, sir.
And his legs, both legs were moved by Officer Wynn so that circulation could be promoted.
Don't recall.
Okay, but if that was the case, then pretty much the whole body was moved.
I don't know. I don't know about the legs. As far as the torso, yes.
Okay, let me get this. Your Honor, may I just publish for
1 second, please.
Your Honor, may I publish against Stacy Exhibit 316?
Yes.
Officer Blair, if you want to, you can look on that screen just to your left, or you're more than welcome, wherever you see better, just make yourself comfortable. Okay, did you just see what Officer Wynn did there with his feet?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Would you agree with me that that's movement of the feet and the legs?
Yes.
Now look what you're doing here. This is going to be.
It looked like it went out through the back. Is there Look at the towel. Sit there for a second. Look at this bathroom. I don't need the towel.
So at this point here, again, I want you to know I'm not quarreling, but you guys have actually moved Mr. Jean's body from being all the way lying on his back to all the way lying on the side, kind of even more towards on his stomach, just to check for the exit wound. Is that right?
We slightly raised the left shoulder.
I'm sorry.
We slightly raised the left shoulder. Sorry about that.
As far as Mr. Jean's arms, though, those were originally, when you got there, up in kind of this position, and even as you all moved him back onto his back, they kind of went back in the same position, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, anyway, there was movement of the body, is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, I want to just ask for a little bit of clarification. Mr. Rogers asked you, even at your own home, if you were to confront somebody, if you had an opportunity even at your own home, you had two choices. Your choices are, there might be someone that you think is an intruder inside, although you're not for sure, but you think there's an intruder inside. And you have the ability to take a position safely of covering, concealment, and containment and getting help and dealing with that person, or you can just go in and blow them away. What are you going to do?
Revert back to my training.
Which is? Your training?
Dynamic situation. I mean, not sure what I would do.
Okay. If your training is to seek, so if you're going to revert back to training, your training is to seek cover, concealment, and containment.
If I've already confronted the suspect, then I doubt it.
Okay, but what if you were outside the home and you hadn't even confronted the individual? Would you just go in and engage him, or if you could safely take a position of cover and concealment and get additional help, what would you do?
Can you repeat the question, please?
I said, if you were outside your home and you haven't gone in yet, but you believe there's an intruder inside your home, and your choices are you can either go in and engage and shoot the person, or you can take a position of cover and concealment where the person's not going to get away. You can stand in a safe position and cover that means of exit. That person comes out and do what you got to do. But you can at least take a position of cover and concealment and seek help to deal with the person. Would you just kill the person, or would you try and take cover and concealment and get additional help for your safety and his?
If I hadn't entered my residence, I would wait for cover.
I'll pass the question.
And every situation is dynamic, and there's 1,000 different ways that someone could react to the same situation.
Correct.
With regard to moving of the body, I think it seemed to be implied, and I want to make sure we're clear. Did you see any evidence, or when you were out there, did you experience anybody shifting the position of the body, like up more towards a certain position, or lower in the apartment? Or was that just manipulation of the body and keeping the body in place as far as positioning in the apartment?
I would say it's minor manipulations to ensure that we had all our bases covered to try to save his life.
And then in the body cam, we can see the position of the body as you found it, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
And also, Officer Blair, I just have one more question. You also don't know, prior to your arrival, what, if any, manipulation of the body may have occurred before you actually got there.
I do not know.
Whether, I'm not suggesting there was or wasn't, but you don't know, nor do I, how much manipulation there may have been. You just know what happened when you got there.
Correct.
That's all I have to pass on this.
Nothing further.
May he be excused?
No objection, Judge.
No objection.
Thank you very much, officer.
Can we approach?
We're going to take our afternoon break, so the court reporter can have a brief recess. And we'll start back at like 3:05. We'll resume with your expert hearings. So those that smoke with good smoked up. So we should be ready for the jury by 4. I'll see you guys back at 3:05.